Before we begin, I invite you to take a moment to quiet your heart and reflect on the faithfulness of our Heavenly Father. Life often places us in moments where the way forward is unclear, where the trials we face seem overwhelming, and where the answers we seek seem delayed. Yet, in these moments of uncertainty, God calls us to a deeper trust, to lean not on our own understanding, but to rest in His infinite wisdom and love. This message is for you if you've ever felt lost, confused, or unsure of the path ahead. It's for those carrying heavy burdens or waiting for a breakthrough that seems just out of reach. Today, we are reminded of a powerful truth. God's plans for your life are good, and His timing is always perfect. As it says in Jeremiah 29:11, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you, and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." This is not just a promise, it's an invitation to trust Him completely, even when you don't fully understand. Stay with me through this prayer as we seek God's presence together. Let your heart be open, your spirit be still, and your faith be strengthened. This isn't just about words. It's about encountering the living God who sees you, knows you, and is ready to guide you into the fullness of His purpose. Together we will speak life over every uncertain path, proclaim His promises over every worry, and declare His peace in every waiting season. I encourage you to remain with me until the end, because this prayer could be the moment of restoration, hope, and clarity your heart has been yearning for. Let's journey together in faith, trusting that God's ways are higher and His love for you is unchanging. Trusting God's sovereignty in uncertainty is a cornerstone of faith. Life is filled with moments when God's plan seems unclear and our understanding is limited. In these times, we are called to trust that God's wisdom far exceeds our own. Isaiah 55:8-9 reminds us of this truth. "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, declares the Lord. As the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts." These verses emphasize that God's perspective is infinitely greater than ours, and His plans are always for our ultimate good, even when we do not comprehend them. In Proverbs 3:5-6, we are instructed to trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to Him, and He will make your paths straight. This is a call to surrender our limited understanding and place complete confidence in God's guidance. Trusting His sovereignty means acknowledging that He sees the end from the beginning and is orchestrating every detail of our lives for a purpose that glorifies Him. Abraham's journey is a profound example of trusting God amid uncertainty. In Genesis 12:1-4, God called Abraham to leave his homeland and go to a land that He would show him. Abraham did not know the destination, yet he obeyed in faith, trusting that God's plan was perfect. Hebrews 11:8 reflects on this moment, saying, "By faith Abraham, when called to go to a place he would later receive as his inheritance, obeyed and went, even though he did not know where he was going." Abraham's willingness to follow God without knowing the outcome demonstrates the kind of trust we are called to have in our own lives. The story of Joseph further illustrates how trusting God's sovereignty leads to His greater purposes. Joseph endured betrayal, slavery, and imprisonment, yet he remained faithful to God. In the end, God elevated him to a position of influence, using his trials to save many lives. In Genesis 50:20, Joseph declares to his brothers, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done in our lives. This reveals that even in seasons of difficulty, God's plan is unfolding for His glory and our good. Romans 8:28 assures us, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose." Trusting God's sovereignty means believing this promise, even when life feels uncertain. It involves laying down our fears, doubts, and desires to take control, allowing God to lead us through the unknown. As we surrender to Him, we find peace in His presence and confidence that His plans are always better than anything we could imagine. Finding peace in God's perfect timing is a vital part of faith and trust in Him. Life often presents situations where waiting becomes difficult, and we feel an urgency to take matters into our own hands. Yet, God's timing is never early or late. It is always perfect. Ecclesiastes 3:1 reminds us, "There is a time for S and for E, and a season for every activity under the heavens." This verse emphasizes that God has established a divine order for all things, and trusting His timing means believing that He is in control of every moment and circumstance. When we wait on God, we are exercising patience and faith, which are fruits of the Spirit. Isaiah 40:31 declares, "But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint." Waiting is not a passive activity. It is an active posture of trust and dependence on God. It is a time for spiritual growth, for learning to lean on Him, and for being strengthened by His presence. Abraham and Sarah's story is a poignant example of waiting for God's perfect timing. God promised Abraham descendants as numerous as the stars, yet the fulfillment of that promise took years. In their impatience, they tried to force the outcome, leading to complications. Despite this, God remained faithful and fulfilled His promise through Isaac, demonstrating that His timing is always best. Genesis 21:1-2 says, "Now the Lord was gracious to Sarah as He had said, and the Lord did for Sarah what He had promised. Sarah became pregnant and bore a son to Abraham in his old age, at the very time God had promised him." This account reminds us that God's timing is often beyond our understanding, but it is always aligned with His perfect will. Psalm 37:7 instructs us, "Be still before the Lord and wait patiently for Him. Do not fret when people succeed in their ways, when they carry out their wicked schemes." This verse challenges us to remain calm and trust in God, even when it seems like others are moving ahead or circumstances appear unfavorable. It calls us to find peace in the knowledge that God's plans for us are unique and cannot be thwarted. The waiting season is also a time for preparation and refining. James 1:2-4 teaches, "Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything." God often uses delays to shape our character, deepen our faith, and prepare us for the blessings to come. Romans 8:25 says, "But if we hope for what we do not yet have, we wait for it patiently." Trusting God's perfect timing brings a profound sense of peace, knowing that His plans are for our ultimate good. It reminds us that we are in the hands of a loving Father who knows exactly what we need, and when we need it. As we conclude this reflection, let us hold on to the assurance that God's timing, sovereignty, and guidance are perfect in every way. Trusting Him, even when the path ahead seems uncertain, is an act of faith that aligns our hearts with His divine plan. Whether we are waiting, seeking clarity, or stepping forward in obedience, God's promises remain steadfast. He is always working for our good and His glory, weaving together every detail of our lives in ways beyond our understanding. Remember, God is not just the author of your story, He is the finisher. He walks with you through every trial, every moment of waiting, and every new beginning. As you trust Him fully, you will find peace that surpasses understanding, strength for the journey, and joy in knowing that His plans for you are good. Thank you for joining me on this journey of faith and prayer. I encourage you to take these words with you, letting them guide your heart and deepen your trust in God's perfect will. May you be blessed with renewed strength, unwavering hope, and the confidence to follow His plan, even when it's not fully clear. Good luck as you continue walking in faith, and may God's grace, peace, and love abound in every area of your life. Thank you, and may His blessings go with you always.